It's time for us to talk about the block seen around the world. That's right, Craig Reynolds. Earlier today, I put out a video talking about just the game, kind of breaking it down, quick reaction to it. One thing I did not talk about because I felt like it warrants a lot more than simply adding it into a already 9-minute video is the Craig Reynolds block that allowed Amon Ra St Brown to snag that touchdown, put us up, end up being 10-3 at this point. What is so vital to understand regarding this is Craig Reynolds is RB3. This block speaks so much more than the value of the game itself or what he's bringing to the game as a piece, a skill set piece, but rather a culture fit and the culture that Dan Campbell, that Brad Holmes, that these guys are building, have built, not are building, have built in Detroit and are now continuing to build upon. Craig Reynolds, RB3. Obviously, we come into this game with David Montgomery, no Jahmyr Gibbs, and then Craig Reynolds having to step up. Zonovan Knight last week, Zonovan Knight last week having that shoulder injury. He's gone. Craig Reynolds has a large burden to carry, right? He comes in, Montgomery goes out. And so we look to Craig Reynolds and we say, you're RB1 now, boy. like you're called up. Let's go. What Craig Reynolds does here speaks volumes to the culture that has been built and that these guys are bought in. The fact that RB3 steps up to RB1 and says, watch me lay a block on a play that most guys, not going to say who in the past, but may have just done nothing, trotted, jogged, would not enter into the play. What you see here is, here comes Craig Reynolds. The ball in the center hash marks to Amon Ra St Brown. Amon Ra starts running parallel and backwards. So he's running laterally and then backwards to the point where he's now 10 yards away from that first down. Craig Reynolds all the way up on the right-hand side at the 30-yard line sees, I got to get in there. I got to get in there and try to lay a block for my receiver. He's almost 8 yards further back than St. Brown. You got Tampa Bay's number 24. 24 is locked in on St. He is only focused on the ball, where the ball is, where it's going. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Tampa Bay defenders. And Craig Reynolds comes booking in like an RPG from the right-hand side, right on the right of St. Brown. 24 doesn't see Reynolds until the very last seconds. And Reynolds not only lays him out, sends him flying into number 31, which allows St. Brown 6 yards of free open space. And at that point, he rolls into 24, gets knocked down, rolls into 31, which allows St. Brown another 15 yards for a touchdown. The block itself, magnificent. The block itself, gorgeous. The way Reynolds comes shooting in like an RPG, like a heat-seeking missile from James Bond on the right side, lays the block, guy goes flying into 31, sends him. But what the biggest factor is here, guys, that you and I, as Lions fans, when the block was laid, first and foremost, I didn't even recognize that St. Brown scored a touchdown until 10 seconds after when we're like, oh my God, a touchdown comes up on the bottom of the screen and I'm like really starting to process it because all I saw was Craig Reynolds deck this dude. But again, it all comes back to culture. It all comes back to Dan Campbell instilling in these dudes, through him, through the other coaches, into these guys, you don't stop. You do not give up. You never stop. You play until the whistle blows it dead. Because Craig Reynolds coming out of the backfield where the ball had nothing to do with him, sees his man, sees the opportunity, and seizes it, takes it, lays a beautiful block for St. Brown. You got number 23 eyeing him up. 24 coming down the gauntlet. 31 coasting along the side to make sure he can't make that first down. If not for Craig Reynolds, if not for the culture that has been instilled that these guys have bought into. This play doesn't happen. The Lions don't score a TD, and we settle for 3. This is the block seen around the world, heard around the world for a reason, because it speaks so much more to what has been built here in Detroit. Craig Reynolds, running back 3, stepping up into a running back 1 position, giving it his all, laying blocks that are changing the game. That is a game-changing play, a game-changing block. It cannot be ignored. I know it's not being ignored. I know it's all over the place right now, and it deserves to be. The way the guy celebrated with Reynolds on the sideline, you would think that he scored the TD. You would. You would think the way the guys were grabbing him, screaming with him, going nuts, celebrating what he did, you would think that Craig scored the touchdown. But no, he laid a block that would allow for it, because that's the culture that has been built in Detroit. That is the culture that Dan Campbell has built. This Detroit Lions team ain't like the past, man. That's different. That's different. Craig Reynolds is different. Deserves to be celebrated for what he did here. Friggin' phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I'm sure 100 other people have broken this down in different ways. I think the biggest thing that needs to be seen is culture. It's culture. It's here. It's there. It's in him. And if that's in running back 3, the balance that's in everybody else across the board, the fact that we're pulling up guys from the practice squad saying, hey, you're taking over for Jonah Jackson today. You're playing guard today. We know we just signed you. We just got you from the practice squad. It doesn't matter. The balance. I was talking to my buddy Tom about this, and I think that's one of the biggest things about this squad right now is our superstars and our practice squad guys. That there is a balance that comes with it where everybody's mind is working as one machine. The mechanism is just a well-oiled machine where everybody understands the opportunity that is before the Detroit Lions this year and in the future, and they are working as one. Craig Reynolds, well done. The block scene around the world, let's get it. My man. Great to see him out there. And then he has that rip-off run later across the open of the field. Very happy with what Craig Reynolds was able to accomplish this game. He deserves every bit of love.